one of the first virtues that you jump into to start talking about is the virtue of penance. Now, I guess I missed this, but I never thought of penance as a virtue.
I know. That's because most Thomists, most people that study Thomas, they think of all the virtues and the vices are found in the Secunda Secundae. But this particular virtue is found in the Tertia Pars, because Thomas wants to relate this virtue to the sacrament of penance, which is now called by another name in this country. We call it reconciliation, which is true. I'm not saying it's false. And so as a result, the idea of penance being a virtue didn't make sense to a lot of people. But when you think about it, if you come to confession and say, I am sorry for my sins and I hope to do better in the future, how do you hope to do better in the future? You remain in the state of grace by living a penitential life. Not like a monk or a nun or a priest, but following the same procedures. What are the procedures? Well, prayer, works of mercy. If you're a mom and a dad, you're doing works of mercy all the time with your kids.
Clothing the naked, feeding the hungry, that's for sure.
And then you're also doing penance. You're also doing penance when you cut back on the booze and the wines and the food and, eat simply and all that stuff. And sometimes, giving up food you like. Not just one, but all three are the principal means of penance. See? And so you can see how if you stick to those three, well, you're going to probably avoid a lot more sins. It's primarily prayer, not fasting, primarily, somewhat helpful. Certainly next to primary, as a consequence, works of mercy. The works of mercy should flow from one's prayer life. So looked at in that perspective, it is a kind of a virtue, a cluster of other virtues, but put under the rubric of penance, because it's not fun to pray all the time. It's not fun. It's not delightful to put aside a banana split pie. It's not fun to give up a single malt scotch every day. It's not fun to wrap your children or go to the bathroom and they're sick and they're crapping all over the place and you got
I live in a sewage treatment center.
Yes, exactly. But that's a work of mercy.
Well, I hope so.
It is.
My saintly wife, I feel perfectly fine, but I'm losing my voice. But everybody in North Carolina, I think, has had some kind of cold in the last month,
Well, of course.
And our 4-month-old father, she's just had the congestion. And, a little baby doesn't know how to blow their nose and cough it up. So this baby has to basically sleep sitting up for the last almost 2 weeks. And so my wife is basically sleeping in a chair or propped up in the bed, and the baby wakes up every 5-10 minutes, my wife has not had a good night's sleep in weeks.
Not a good idea.
And so, takes naps and stuff when we can, but there's only so much. She's still nursing. There's not much I can do. So my point is that this is a mother, and there's a lot of mothers out there probably listening to this. But the talk about the corporal works of mercy, doing that. You're sacrificing your sleep continually for your children. Right. And I think that they just don't get enough credit for that.
Penance.
It's penance.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, that's is. Now help me with the theology on let's say somebody commits some pretty nasty sins. They go to confession, they mean it. The priest gives them 3 Hail Marys. They walk out of the box, they kneel down, they say 3 Hail Marys, and they walk out. Come on, how does that pay for what they just did?
Well,
you understand my question.
Normally, the penance, this is a lack of knowledge on the part of many priests, I think, in teaching this, that the penance you receive in the sacrament, as good and holy as it is, it's only a portion. It's a beginning. It should continue.
And so is that where you have? I was told once years ago, sin is like taking an axe and putting it into the tree or into the table, let's say. Confession and penance is taking the axe out. Reparation is filling the hole in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you fill the hole in it with penance.
Penance. Oh, okay. So not just the 3 Hail Marys.
No. That's the 3 Hail Marys are the sign that you're obeying the church by doing something. It's something. It's a prayer, but it's not the entirety.
So then what am I, okay, after he gives me 3 Hail Marys, what then am I supposed to go do other than, live a holy life? But I mean, how do I know if I've done the penance sufficiently?
Well, you have done the penance, the canonical penance. Now you have to continue with the spirit of the canonical penance, the spirit, the virtue of penance. In other words, the canonical thing is one, the virtue is the other. And that's what has to be taught over and over again. That's the purpose of Lent, to keep people doing penance all year.
Yes.
And explaining all this for the whole year. But not many parishes do this.
Now, you cited a document in the church where it says that every Friday throughout the whole year is supposed to be still a penitential day.
Correct.
And we should abstain from meat or something
else.
Yeah. And I think very few people know that.
That is correct, because priests don't talk about it.
Because we just think Fridays during Lent we don't eat meat.
That is correct.
So do you recommend we not eat meat on Fridays year round? I mean, that was the traditional way, right? I mean, is that what people should basically just do?
Well, it depends on circumstances too, whether you can do a thing like that. And you can't become scrupulous about it. And it's a positive admonition, not a negative one. It's not saying that it's evil. See, in the old days, in my day, it was evil to eat meat on Friday unless the bishop dispensed you or the special circumstances dispensed you. I remember when I was a teenager, I would eat meat on Friday by going to the consular general house in San Francisco in the Philippines, because he had the dispensation of the cardinal archbishop that he could serve meat on Friday because he was a diplomat. So that didn't mean whoever it was. Wow. So I'd go and have salami sandwiches and beer and scotch and a few other things in my corrupt life.
See, I think God appreciates the ingenuity. I think he likes your ingenuity. I do.
Well, that's the way it was. But see, today that isn't the case. Today there's no sin attached to that sort of thing. It's a positive thing.
Oh, okay.
Nevertheless, people should be a little more creative. Instead of having spaghetti and meatballs on Friday, have olio and olio. Right. Or have bagna colda, which is an old from Bergamo. You have it. I don't explain it, but anyway, there's just other ways of having a good meal without necessarily having meat.
Right. Hey, thanks guys for checking out the Conor Gallagher Show. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, or comment, or whatever you got to do to support it. And I appreciate that very much.